I just watched the season finale of Doctor Who last night, season 6, and the closure of the second Doctor. So this is my Doctor rant that I go on at the end of each Doctor, where I step back and reflect. And I'm going to admit I really, really, really liked Patrick Troughton, and I'm going through withdrawals already. I really miss him. There was just so much about him that really, this is hard for me. This is really hard for me. Oh, wow. There's going to be spoilers, so I'm going to go ahead and get into them. The last arc of season 6 is the War Games, and the War Games go over the Doctor and his companions. At this point, he's got Jamie, a 18th century Highlander fighting the English, and he has Zoe, a few hundred years from the future. I can't remember if she was 1,000 years in our future or 500 years, but she's from like 2300 or something like that. And they're traveling with the Doctor. So they get to this one location and they step out. I love me. They get out and there's barbed wire. And Jamie, the Highlander from the 17-something, looks at it and goes, "Oh, what is this?" And the Doctor says, "Oh, that's barbed wire. Don't touch it." And I went, I think they're in World War I. And they pull up a helmet. And I'm like, oh yeah, World War I. So that was just a few seconds. I see barbed wire, I see a helmet. Oh, that's World War I. Yep. So they find themselves smack dab in the middle of England during the First World War. And they're in the trenches. I don't really want to spoil it, because it's just, of all the arcs, you need to see this arc. But I'm going to go ahead and spoil it, because I can't talk about it unless I spoil it. So, spoiler alert. It all comes out later on, and I'm going to skip a lot of the details, because I really do. Basically, I really do want you to see it, but there is this moment where there's a lot of players, there's a lot of different things involved, there's a lot of locations involved. At the end of the day, the antagonist of this episode arc is another Time Lord. And your first thought is, okay, so is it a Time Lord like the Doctor, or is it the same species, the same race? And you find out very much, yes. This is not only a Time Lord from the same place, but they also have their own TARDISes, and there's this massive face-off between the Doctor and the other Time Lord, where he's like, "I know what you are," and he's like, "I know what you are. You have a TARDIS. Well, you have a TARDIS. Well, where did you get your TARDIS? Well, where do you think I got my TARDIS? Where do you think you got your TARDIS? Well, I stole my TARDIS. Well, I stole my TARDIS." You know what they're going to do to us if they catch you. Yep, we do know what they're going to do to us if they catch us. They're not going to catch us. So that was like the whole... And by the end of the first few episodes, you kind of catch on that they is... there's a planet of Time Lords. And for reasons that come out finally at the end of season 6, the Doctor stole a TARDIS and took off with it. And so did this guy. They also stole a TARDIS and took off with it. And you find out through the arc what this other Time Lord's deal is, why he steals it, why he wants it, and what's his goal. But you're still kind of like, what is up with the Doctor? And all hell breaks loose. And it gets to the point where the only way to fix this is by bringing in the other Time Lords. But in order to bring in the Time Lords, the Doctor has to basically confront his punishment for doing what he did. So he does so. He basically says, look, there's just no way we can fix this. We have to alert them as to the situation. So the Doctor does so. The message is sent. The Time Lords are coming. But Patrick still thinks he can get away with it. So he takes off. It's great. So for like an episode, not the last episode, but the episode to the last, he spends the entire time trying to get away from the Time Lords, who are going to punish his ass for doing what he did. And you're still not quite sure what the Doctor did. So he takes off. And there's a line that I said last night, and my husband and I just died laughing, and we're like, yep, the Doctor is Jar Jar Binks. Like, seriously. Seriously. He is Jar Jar Binks. He is a mischief maker. I was bored. I wanted something to do. So I stole a TARDIS. You know, they've got all this power and they don't use it. And I'm kind of known for my meddling. He says this. So and then when they find out where he is, he takes it upon himself to try and escape. So he's got this massive Time Lord council after him, and he still thinks he can take off. And it's great. So he gets in the TARDIS with his companions, and he's told right off over this loudspeaker, do not make us hunt you down. You will come back here. You will take your punishment like a good little boy. And he's like, no, I can get away. So he uses the TARDIS to try and escape. And this is the episode. As his companions are like, well, we need to, should we go? They're gonna hurt us if we don't go. And he's like, oh, no, we can escape. We'll go someplace safe. And he ends up smack dab in the middle of the ocean at the bottom. And they're like, okay, are we safe here? Oh, yeah, we're safe now. You know, nothing can harm the TARDIS from the outside. There's an episode where they were in lava, and this was proven very clearly that nothing can harm the TARDIS, except the TARDIS starts leaking. And they realize that the Time Lords have removed that safety feature, so they got to take off. So again, he takes off. He's at a different location. And he's like, oh, it's fine, we can get away. We're safe. And they turn on the monitor, and they are being eaten by an alligator. So in another fit of panic, the Doctor resets the TARDIS, and they are home. He goes home. So you get to see on the season finale of season 6, you get to see the Doctor's home. And he gets off of the TARDIS, and the companions are worried about him. They're like, what's going to happen to you? And he's like, oh, I'm probably going to be preached at and lectured, and they're going to give me a speech about how I need to be a good boy. Yeah, they like giving me speeches. So this is like, and we've been here before, haven't we, Jar Jar Binks? That's really the feeling I got from this. It was like, and they asked him what exactly he did wrong, what was really going on with everything. And turns out it all came down to yeah, this is it. This is like, so you have a race of people. You have Qs. You have a race of people like the Q. And they have a prime directive. And that prime directive is you don't interfere. You don't mingle. But you've got Jar Jar Binks, who says, oh no, this is boring. We have to meddle. So Jar Jar Binks then swipes the Millennium Falcon and takes off to play with a toy and the hyperspace bypass, and the I can't think of what it's called, the hyperdrive, just because he can, because, you know, it's boring to just sit around and do nothing. And now the council is looking down at all this going, okay, he just totally stole our Millennium Falcon. We need to track him down now and have him pay his price. And he thinks that he can just run off and do whatever he wants. So that's what he does. The Doctor is Jar Jar Binks. So I'm like, okay, knowing this now, and I look back at William Hartnell, who I love William Hartnell, but I'm just like, he's not really that kind of character. I don't think it was cast well, but in all fairness, I don't think they knew exactly what they were doing with the show. I am convinced when they cast William Hartnell, I am certain that they had no idea that the Doctor was going to regenerate. I think that was something they threw together last minute. It didn't feel last minute, but when the show started, it felt like they had this guy who just traveled all over the place. And I think William Hartnell wanted to leave the show or something, maybe got another acting contract, something. And the show was going strong, but they were losing an actor, and they had to come up with something quick to kind of balance that out. And that's when they brought in Patrick Troughton and came up with the, hey, you know what would be awesome is if he regenerates. Yeah, let's have the Doctor regenerate. So I think that's really what they were doing with this, and I think that's why they've been able to keep the show on, is because the show is the show, and the Doctor is immortal, of course, and they can just keep recycling through the actors and the casting department, and it will never get old. Unless, of course, they change the Daleks. Yeah. But no, I think it's fine. So I'm looking at this going, I just don't see William Hartnell is really fitting. There is a kind of a loopy craziness to the Doctor, and I've already watched the first episode or two, I think 2 episodes now, of this third Doctor, played by John Petru? I can't remember, I have to look up his name. But John gets there, and he said something, I cannot hear what he's saying, but he pulls up a mirror, and he starts critiquing his own face. This really cracks me up. Every time the Doctor regenerates, the whole, what's going on with my face? And you see this actor reassess his own face. That cracks me up. That's like my favorite part of the Doctor Who from now on, is just, yeah, watching them reconfigure to his face. So that's my view on, in general, the Doctor. As far as Patrick goes, there's a lot with that Doctor that just really, I was not doing well last night. I was crying, and I'm like, I miss him. I'm not ready for him to go yet. He had a crazy 2 to 3 sides of his personality that I just loved. Where William Hartnell was always controlled and very intelligent and knew exactly where everything was at all times, I got the feeling that even when things were dire and William was worried and sweating balls, that he still kept his composure. And I'm like, no, let yourself go a little bit. And that you really see that with the second Doctor. And I mean instantly, that when the second Doctor sees, when the first Doctor sees a Dalek, well, at first it's like, what the heck is a Dalek? But the second time that William Hartnell sees a Dalek, he's like, oh, you again, you. And the third and fourth time he sees the Dalek, he's like, oh, you gave me a start. But that's really what it is. He's like, oh, you gave me a start. That was it. But then you have Patrick comes in, and he sees a real Dalek, and he falls over himself and freaks out. He's like, oh no! Like, he understands the horror of what these things can do. And you see that in Patrick. But then you see him on a dive completely recompose himself and go right back into it. So there's a lot with Patrick that in general I'm going to miss, because, okay, I was just all over myself. I was just like crying, and I'm like, I'm angry, I'm going to take a shower! So I took a shower, and I'm crying in the shower. Patrick! There was a violin playing in the back, and a recorder twiddling. And then I got back out, and my husband is like, yeah. He was doing the grumbles, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? He goes, okay, I miss Patrick too. So we were kind of grumpy last night because we just missed Patrick. And the amount of wiped episodes with Patrick's was just ridiculous. Probably, I felt like 80% of Patrick's performances had been erased. So we had precious little time with him to begin with. So I have, and we came upon, it was the 6th episode that he changes over. I'm watching all of these with my Wikipedia list, so I know not to miss any of them. I know exactly what I should be looking for next, so we don't skip any, because we did that once. We skipped the Reign of Terror. Yeah, the Reign of Terror we skipped. So we have to make sure that the list is always available so we don't miss out on any episodes. So we're watching this. We got our list of episodes, and we know that the season finale of season 6 is going to be our last farewell to Patrick. So it did not come as a surprise. How it came about was a surprise. We caught on like at by the next to last episode of season 6. We realized how they were going to take him out, and it was just insane how they did it. Because you go back to his home planet, you meet other Time Lords. You learn exactly what the Doctor did, what he's doing, how it's illegal, how he's broken the law, and how much he's like Jar Jar Binks, just causing a lot of problems for everybody. And how much of it he's a time meddler. So, and it is funny because I love Star Trek, and on this side of Star Trek you have this prime directive. You don't mess with the prime directive. But then you've got the Doctor over here, and he's screw the prime directive. He's meddling. There's just no... I would love to see the Doctor find his way into the Starship Enterprise just to see all hell break loose. That would be awesome. You've got this prime directive, and he just doesn't give a crap about it. It's great. So, it's not bad enough that we're closing out a season. It's not bad enough that we're closing out this Doctor. No. BBC takes it a step further, and what do? They bring in color. So I'm sitting here... Color! Why? I love black and white TV. So I'm sitting here. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this because, okay, I knew season 7 was coming. I knew the third Doctor was coming, but no one told me color. So I'm sitting here, starting up my next episode. We're still, I want Patrick back. And we're sitting there, and we start to see color. And we're just like, what is this? We got color? Why do we have color? I want black. I'm not, no change. I can't do the change. So I don't adapt to change well. It's just horrible. Horrible! I was hoping that I could go all until like 2005 with no color. I thought it was going to be black and white right up until David Tennant. No. I'm very, very sad. There is this one episode with the second Doctor where he's a doppelganger, and that was just, oh, I'm gonna miss Patrick. Oh yes, so the sonic screwdriver, that's what I wanted to tell you about. So I'm thinking again that the sonic screwdriver is going to make an appearance with David Tennant when they bring it back for 2005. Nope. William Hartnell had a ring, and I think one episode, maybe twice, you see him walk up and he does this thing with his ring, and it unlocks the TARDIS. There's a couple other things that it does. And my husband and I are just like, did he just... No, that's not the sonic screwdriver. So, in the War Games, it was prior to the War Games. It was definitely with the second Doctor. When he regenerates, he drops his ring. He's wearing William's clothing, and the ring doesn't fit him anymore. It falls off, and the companions are like, Doctor, you just lost this. So they pick it up and they hand it to him, and he's looking over his ring, and he's like, oh, that stays with me. And he puts it in his pocket, or I'm not quite sure what, and it's not really discussed what he does with it, but it's a very important feature, and he keeps it with him at all times. See, and I miss him again, because I remember the first time we saw Patrick, he pulls out his journal, and he's just walking around everywhere playing the recording, and he's, I miss Patrick. Okay, so he's got this ring that doesn't fit him. And then later on, you see something very similar attached to the stick, and he uses it for a couple things, and we're like, is that the sonic screwdriver? But you can tell it's still William Hartnell's ring. So it kind of, you're not quite sure what's going on with it, but you see it evolve. And then by the end, by the War Games, which is the last arc of the last 10 episodes of season 6, Patrick is explaining to this gentleman, look, I can prove to you I'm from the future. Look, this is a sonic screwdriver. And he pulls it out and he uses it. So not only do you see it used, but he actually calls it the sonic screwdriver. So there is a moment where it does make its a debut on screen. So I was surprised that it came out in the 6th season with the second Doctor. That one really did take me by surprise. So I'm just very sad right now. Yeah. So in general, the whole, is it worth going back to the first? Yes, absolutely. And this is where this is going out to all of everyone who's going, I'm not sure. Go back to the original. There is a lot that's missed. There is so much that's missed. So much. Based on some of the things that my girlfriend has told me, because she watched 2005 and on. And she's like, well, they don't talk about this, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. And I saw it last night, and I went, oh no, they do talk about it. Everyone missed it. There is information that you missed if you started watching it 2005. One of the things she told me was that the Doctor had been exiled to Earth. And yes, even though he does, that's like a fraction of the story. So there's just so much going on that I'm just floored over. So, and honestly, I can narrow it down to which particular episodes and which particular things you do need to see from these. Basically, my recommendation to you is, if it is written by Terry Nation, watch The Ark. That is, Terry Nation is the creator of the Daleks, and that will fill in everything. There is one particular story arc where you see, if it is not missing and it features the second Doctor, watch The Ark. Like, I need to go and just pull all of these and just line them up. Like, definitely watch these episodes, because they are so worth it. The arc where he has his doppelganger, definitely worth watching. It really gives you an idea. It just definitely worth watching. And the second is definitely the War Games. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely watch the War Games. It will give you a full explanation as to who the Doctor is, why he is, what he does, what he does. And of course, watch the season's finales and watch the regeneration. So, yeah, like, I am just not okay. I am not ready. Okay, so I'm going to go play with my PS4 to make me feel better. So, thank you for listening to me rant.